This video has been in the making for a very long time, and it requires some backstory. As many of you are aware, I have a partnership with Apex Gaming, a company that makes pre-built gaming computers. One of the perks is that they'll provide me with a gaming PC. So my plan was to get an average PC and then use it to make a video on ultra low quality in War Thunder. They informed me, however, that I could get one a lot better than that. One better than the PC I was already using. That's a pretty hard offer to turn down. So I accepted and changed the video idea a bit. Now instead of just seeing how much of an advantage ultra low quality presents, I would see how many frames per second I could get on such a ridiculous setup. How ridiculous is it? Fairly ridiculous. It's got a 5950X, RTX 3080, 32GB of RAM, and 3 M.2 SSDs. My first PC was a pre-built, and it was not a good experience at all. This was completely different though. It was packaged very securely, was very neat, and came with all the manuals and accessories. I only had one minor issue, but it was caused by corrupted files on my old PC. If you want a PC like this, links are in the description and comments. You can use my username as a discount code on checkout. Now with all the backstory out of the way, let's get into the meat of the video. There are a lot of gimmicks in War Thunder that people use to gain an unfair advantage. Things like bushes, abusive sound mechanics, and just outright hacking. The most commonly used gimmick is definitely the ultra low quality graphics preset. With ultra low quality, certain objects such as trees, bushes, grass, walls, and structures can be made invisible either altogether or at certain distances. This provides a massive gameplay advantage, as cover and concealment are vital parts of War Thunder's combat. Some tanks, usually slow but lightly armored ones, have to use concealment to be successful in matches. So being able to entirely negate that can make these tanks very frustrating to play. Ultra low quality also removes shadows, which makes tanks much easier to see. It's such a well-known gimmick that if someone dies to you and thinks it was suspicious, they will immediately accuse you of using ultra low quality. Most tournament players also use ultra low quality, just to gain the slightest advantage. So, just how much of an advantage does it provide? First, I did a quick little test to compare my usual graphics settings with ultra low quality. With my preset, I was getting around 270 frames per second, which is pretty insane in its own right, considering everything is maxed out. On ultra low quality though, I was getting a nearly 400 frames per second increase, at around 660 FPS on average. You can also see just how much tanks stand out now. For the next phase of the test, I wanted to do testing in actual matches. It should go without saying that I saw an immediate difference, but I wasn't expecting such a stark contrast. If you don't zoom in, most objects just will not render. Unless a tank is hidden behind a terrain feature, you will see them. Even if you can't get a shot off on them, you can still scout them for your team. It felt like I was cheating, but this is a feature the game provides. You would think it only provides an advantage on maps with a lot of foliage, but when shadows are involved, it becomes a lot easier to recognize movement. Even if the target manages to shoot you first, it makes retaliating much easier. It's easier to tell where the shot came from, and a lot easier to line up a return shot. When there is foliage, it feels much easier to shoot through. I was playing multiple 9-kill games. I can be pretty good at the game sometimes, but not that good. The TM2 IP is definitely a very strong vehicle, but I doubt it could get regular results like that. Okay, so we've established that ultra low quality gives a player a pretty significant advantage, but what can be done about it? And why haven't Gaijin done anything yet? Well first, pretty much any change that would make ultra low quality less of an advantage would also make the game a bit harder to run. War Thunder is a free-to-play game, so a lot of players have PCs that struggle to run it as is. By making it more difficult to run, that would mean less customers and less money. In Gaijin's mind, it's better to keep ultra low quality in the state because you can't really tell when someone else is using it, unless you see a recording from their side. When accusing someone of abusing it, you pretty much have to rely on a hunch. You're less likely to quit on the receiving end, at least compared to someone who just outright cannot run the game anymore. There are a few changes that can be made though. First, you could replace foliage render distance with foliage quality. At the lowest level, foliage objects remain as 2D sprites, no matter the distance. Second, you could lock the minimum allowed graphics based on the recommended preset, i.e. making it a bit lower than what the computer recommends. I don't know how difficult shadows are to render, but I think having those be on all the time would help too. Anyway, that's about all there is to it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.